So many people ask me, where do you get your ideas from? Well, sometimes they come from my friends, other times from random places around me. But there's something about hearing a good idea from someone else. It's inspiring. It gets your mind working. That's why we have our submissions page. Maybe you have an idea that you want to pitch to me. Maybe you have a topic that you think would make a great episode. You can send it all to us through the link in the description. And you never know, your idea might be selected and turned into a future episode. What if you're sitting down at home and suddenly you hear scratching noises in your walls? What if you ignore them, assuming it's just some rodents seeking shelter? But then when you investigate, you find nothing. As days pass by, the sounds continue, but you never manage to locate the source. Does the thought of such unsettling sounds drive you crazy? Imagine if that wasn't the only disturbance you had to deal with. Picture this. You finally find the source of the sound, only to discover a hidden keyhole. And behind that door lies a room you never knew existed, a secret chamber filled with items belonging to a former resident, suggesting they might still be lurking in your home. Now brace yourself, because things are about to get even more spine-chilling. Imagine walking into your own bathroom and finding someone already taking a bath, but it's not your partner or anyone you recognize. And when you turn around, your heart nearly stops as you see the face of the person sitting in your bathtub. It's the same individual whose presence you've been sensing throughout your home. Just as you're about to scream, they rise from the water and vanish before your eyes, leaving you questioning your sanity. And as if that wasn't enough, you spot your front door opening and closing on its own, realizing you're not alone in this house. Then, as you search for answers, you stumble upon a series of horrifying messages left behind by someone or something, warning you to leave the house immediately or suffer the consequences. So what would you do in such a terrifying situation? Would you call the police, seek help from friends and family, or confront the entity yourself? Let us know in the comments below. Now let's dive into a chilling incident that happened to a couple named George and Martha. They had recently moved into their dream home, and everything seemed perfect until one day Martha noticed scratch marks in the wall. Dismissing them as ordinary household wear and tear, she didn't give it much thought. However, the scratches appeared every morning, tracing paths across the bedroom wall. Unable to ignore them any longer, Martha decided to investigate. She scraped off the paint to reveal a hidden keyhole behind it. Curiosity led her to search further, uncovering a secret room filled with old furniture and unsettling items like shackles, a meat cleaver, and a logbook dating back over a century. It detailed the life of a woman named Catherine who lived in the house with her husband, a wealthy landowner, and their maid, Mary. The entries spoke of Catherine's deteriorating mental state, her obsession with Mary, and her desire to keep her locked away forever. Meanwhile, George couldn't shake off a growing sense of unease he'd felt since moving in. Every morning they heard footsteps above them, and once he even saw the shadow of a woman dragging herself closer and closer. Unable to bear the mystery any longer, they contacted the previous owner, who revealed that the house had a reputation for being haunted. The owner had even written a story about the house for Reader's Digest, which had been published shortly before George and Martha purchased it. But the creepiest part was yet to come. In the dead of night, Martha woke up to the sound of laughter coming from the secret room. Rushing to the bathroom to wash her face, she caught her reflection in the mirror. Startled by her own appearance, she turned around to find a woman in a Victorian nightgown standing directly behind her. Paralyzed with fear, Martha couldn't scream as the ghostly figure reached out and pushed her into the bathtub. As she struggled to free herself from the grip of the specter, the lights flickered, and when they returned, the apparition was gone. Martha quickly exited the bathroom and hurried to the living room, noticing that the front door had swung open on its own. With trembling hands, she closed the door. But just as she did, she heard the sound of footsteps retreating from the front door. George, ever the skeptic, initially dismissed Martha's story as a figment of her imagination. That was until he experienced it for himself. As the full weight of the haunting settled upon them, they realized that Catherine's spirit had been awakened and they were trapped in her own personal hell. To escape the torment, they fled the house, seeking refuge elsewhere. Afterward, the house remained empty, shrouded in an eerie silence. Then one day, a new family moved in, unaware of the horrors that awaited them. Soon enough, the haunting began anew, with the apparition of Catherine and the mysterious footsteps echoing through the halls. Once again, the residents were driven out, leaving the house abandoned. Many years later, the house found new owners who also faced the wrath of Catherine's ghost. One evening, a man entered the bathroom and found a woman sitting in the bathtub, none other than Catherine herself. Terrified, he fled the bathroom, but the encounter left him shaken. When he shared his experience with the others, they scoffed, believing him to be a liar. But soon, they too became victims of the haunting, unable to withstand the ghostly torment. Over the decades, the house continued to repel its inhabitants, with families fleeing after witnessing unexplainable phenomena and ghostly apparitions. Despite the countless tales of terror associated with the house, it remained on the market, waiting for a new set of unsuspecting victims. But the story doesn't end there. One day, a young man named Thomas moved into the house with his wife and son. Ignoring the warnings of those who had come before him, he decided to stay. Night after night, Catherine paid visits to the family, shaking their beds and interacting with their young son. Though frightened, Thomas refused to let the ghost win. He investigated the house's history and learned about the tragic fate of Catherine and her maid Mary. Determined to bring peace to their restless souls, he exhumed their bodies from their shared grave. Upon discovering that Mary's bones were missing from the grave, he retraced her steps and found them in the secret room behind the wall. Finally, after all these years, the haunting ceased and Thomas and his family were able to live in peace, free from the presence of the vengeful spirits. The house was finally ready for a new beginning. If you find yourself in a similar situation, facing unexplainable occurrences and eerie presences, don't hesitate to reach out for help. Whether it's the support of loved ones, the guidance of spiritual advisors, or even the expertise of paranormal investigators, there's strength in numbers when dealing with the unknown. Remember, you're not alone in this world, and there are always people willing to lend a hand in times of need. Stay strong, stay connected, and together you can navigate even the spookiest of situations. The case of the Westfield Watcher is a real-life story that happened in New Jersey. The Westfield Watcher is a mysterious individual who sent threatening letters to a family in Westfield, New Jersey in 2014. The letters contained disturbing messages and seemed to know personal details about the family, including the names and ages of their children. The identity of the Watcher remains unknown and the case remains unsolved. One notable aspect of this case is the psychological aspect. The Watcher's letters suggest a level of obsession and knowledge about the family that raised concerns about their motives and mental state. Some experts speculate that the Watcher may have been suffering from mental illness or fixated on the family for unknown reasons. Another interesting element of the case is the lack of physical evidence. Despite extensive investigations, authorities were unable to find any fingerprints, DNA, or other physical evidence that could link the Watcher to the crimes. This made it challenging to identify and apprehend the culprit. Several theories emerged regarding the Watcher's identity. Some believed it could be a disgruntled neighbor, while others suspected it could be the work of a serial stalker or even a copycat mimicking similar cases. However, none of these theories were ever confirmed. The media attention surrounding the case brought both speculation and public interest. People were fascinated by the mysterious Watcher and their motives, leading to numerous theories and discussions online. The case of the Westfield Watcher continues to be a source of mystery and speculation. The unsolved nature of the case leaves room for various interpretations and theories, but without concrete evidence, the identity and motives of the Watcher remain unknown. And with that, it's time for the scariest part of them all.